I was always quite career-driven, quite academic. I did well at work, but there was always, stuff in the background, and I had got out of a long-term relationship, and I was sort of on my own, young-ish, carefree and single for the first time in a long time. And yeah, I sort of found that I was going out a lot. The focus was all about trying to change how I felt. I suppose there got to a point where I wasn't the person that I recognised. So in terms of, things that I thought I valued, like my career and friendships and so on, none of that stuff seemed to matter as much as having a good time. I had completely lost control on the situation. I wasn't really feeling anything. I was faced with a choice, which was ask for help or carry on and completely self-destruct. I was just feeling like I could end this and I didn't really care. And that's quite a scary place to be, where you really don't care whether you live or die anymore. I asked for help, and that's what got me into 12-step recovery, which has completely changed my life. My mum first mentioned that I might be interested in doing Alpha. She knew I was interested in exploring spirituality and has been quite supportive of that. Not from a religious family. I was never christened. I did go to a Catholic primary school, and it was me and I think one other that were the only non-religious people there. I remember when we had to say prayers in assembly, and everyone else would kind of bow their heads, and me and a few friends would be the ones going, no, I'm gonna keep my head up, I'm gonna rebel against this. So this is where I did Alpha, and this is the road that I walked down. I just remember feeling like a whole mix of emotions, feeling quite excited because I knew I was going to learn something new. So I remember approaching the gate, and there were lots of people out there like signposting, and so although I had like Google Maps, it was quite clear where I was going and the amount of people going in the same direction. So I don't remember feeling like intimidated or lost or anything, because it was kind of like you were welcomed down the whole driveway, and I was very much like ushered into the right place with the cupcakes. In my head, I built up a group of 20, probably quite old people, sat in a cold church hall, and it was so the opposite of that. It was so warm and light, and like the music was playing, and I remember the people in my group, and one of the girls I made friends with, she gave me a massive hug and was so sort of low-key and non-pressured as an environment to walk into. I think one of the great things about Alpha was listening to a lot of the talks where I thought it would be quite a lot to take in and perhaps a drastic shift in my mindset. I was really able to marry up a lot of what I was hearing in the talks with my own experience and my own beliefs. I felt like I was going to learn something about life and how to approach it. I learned about myself. I felt like the connection with my higher power, God, whatever you want to call it, was getting stronger. And I think that's also through the practices that are introduced to us at Alpha. I remember the healing week was probably the biggest turning point for me, because unusually for me doing Alpha, I felt so resistant that week. They talked about getting people on stage, and I was kind of rolling my eyes being like, yeah, good one. And then we all kind of went into our side room, and normally I was quite forthcoming, being like, asking questions, or yeah, I'm up for trying that. And for whatever reason that week, I did not want to have anything to do with what was happening. I could just feel like the emotion in me like building and building and building. And I felt so uncomfortable, and I just burst into tears, and it was like uncontrollable tears. And I don't know what that was, but that for me was like a massive turning point, because something that I'd been so resistant and suspicious of, almost immediately, I didn't. And that's quite a big deal. I feel like I have to make sense of things. I want to understand it to then believe it. And I definitely came into Alpha thinking this is probably going to be quite a lot of like fairyland type stuff here, and for me to get on board with it, I'm probably gonna have to brainwash myself. And what a relief that it wasn't anything like that, and that I was just so easily able to make sense of things, and it wasn't like a complete 180 in my beliefs and my mindset. So much of what I was hearing just made sense and really complemented my worldview already. I think in the aftermath of doing Alpha, I wasn't sure if I was Christian, but I was living a better life and being a better person and being much more like conscious about how I was behaving. Life still happens and it can be amazing, but it can also be challenging. And I think one of the things that I've got from going to church and being part of this community is some of the tools that come with that, like prayer and coming along every Sunday. And it doesn't mean that the hard stuff goes away, but it definitely helps to get through it and to feel kind of supported and safe getting through that stuff.